in the memory of our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So on that day it was notified and amended afterwards in 2021 recently. Here it has been clearly mentioned that any person above 18 years, when we talk about the POCSO cases, it will be treated as a child, and this act is specifically a gender neutral offense, gender neutral act. When we talk about the rape act, it is the gender specific act. That means the rape can be committed only against the female, not against the male. But when you talk about the child and POCSO cases, this act is a gender neutral and it applies to the male victims also. And there is a mandatory reporting of abuse. As my dear friend from Thailand, he shared that there is no mandatory reporting, probably what I could get. But under the POCSO Act, there is mandatory reporting, and every person who suspects or has knowledge of a sexual offense, or even comes to his knowledge that certain child is being abused, he has to report mandatorily to the local police or to the special juvenile police units, which are being, you can say, gradually formed all over the country. So this is mandatory, including the doctor. And here one more provision is there. The non-reporting is punishable up to 1 year of this imprisonment under section 19 and 21 of the POCSO Act. So it is mandatory for the doctor also to report if he comes into the knowledge that the child is being abused, sexually abused. Of course, he has to maintain the full confidentiality, and all these trial proceedings also, we have just changed the whole system. Earlier, before the enactment of this act, it was used to be the general trial and all those kind of questions and in the public eyes and all that used to be happening. Now it is a totally closed door system where we have got the dedicated POCSO code. There we deal it the total you can say cases, and there what we call as the in-camera trial. So there is only the child is there, the judge is there, and there is a separation and all what we call as in-camera trial. The victim and the perpetrator, they don't face each other, and there is a barricading between the child and the perpetrator. They don't face each other, and because the identity must not be disclosed and at any point of time, and judge also not directly sits on the bench. It's not face to face, so that the child feels little bit threatened. So that kind of you can say the changes or awareness that is being you can say practiced. And it is said that all these cases, they should be dealt in a fast track court. We try to address these and try to, you can say, up to the trial must be finished within 2 months of time. Earlier it used to be not only the years, it used to be the decades. Still the cases go on for decades. But in these particular cases, after this, we have tried that under this act that must be finished within 2 months. So at least, may not be 2 months, but at least 6 months or within 1 year, at least those cases first will be sorted out. When we talk about this, dealing with this, we have got this special vulnerable witness courtroom. They are dedicated and specified unit. So under that whole big court complex, one place will be identified as a, you can say, vulnerable witness courtroom, and there only all the cases will be dealt. So their separate entry will also be separate. They will be brought from the separate entry and exit and all those. So there again, when we talk about that, the whole system of examining starts with the lady PI. So male police inspector cannot deal these type of cases. So lady police inspector has to be there. Lady police constable will accompany that child to the hospital. Medical board will comprise of the gynecologist, that again will be a lady doctor, pediatrician and forensic medicine expert. Of course, that depends upon. But the gynecologist must be a lady. It cannot be a male gynecologist when we are talking about dealing with the sexual assault or examining these type of cases. Role of forensic medicine expert. Now I'm sharing few of the cases which we have dealt as a forensic pathologist and as a clinical forensic medicine expert. So that poses a lot of challenge or dilemma. Maybe you can answer. So one 11-year boy, he was brought with the alleged history of death due to fall from a bike 3 days back, suffered head injury, and he was brought dead at my hospital. So the police concern was only the cause of death. That happens usually in the all cases of road traffic accident. But when I examined the case, they examined the dead body, I found along with the head injury so many telltale marks of the child abuse. Now you can yourself visualize that how brutally the child was abused over a period of time, because their duration was different, the pattern of the injuries was different, all over his body. Even there were stamping marks of the press, that cloth iron, what I could correlate, that was pressed over his buttocks and all. And he was an 11-year-old boy. Now you see, it is clearly visible. All over the body, you can say the injuries were there. So typical signs of child abuse, massive abuse, torture, everything was quite evident, right? All over the necks and all. So now, just photographic documentation, you can see the cauliflower shape of the ear. So child has been slapped over a period of time, multiple times, like that. All those, even there was these imprint abrasions over his hands. He was a sick boy. He was wearing a metallic bangle. So it was sometimes pressed like that, like that. Now, when we inquired, that actual parents separated few years ago, and this child was living with the present parent, who was the actual father and stepmother from 2 months only. This was the second marriage for both of them 2 years ago. So there was one kid from the previous marriage for both, and this boy from the father, and this 12 years girl from the mother. So when we go into the details of that family setting, then we understand that why it is happening. And then the one male child was born 1 year back. The custody battle suit was filed about 6 years back, but settled 2 months before. And there was alleged history of fall from bike. So when he fell from the bike, he was shown to the local doctor only. There was practically no treatment was given. And he was ultimately brought dead to the trauma center. The cause of death for us as a forensic pathologist was simple, because he suffered the head injury, died due to subdural hemorrhage. But then what we should do further? Whether we should specifically stick to our domain of conducting the autopsy and just giving cause of death and that's all, or of course we have to document it, but whether we have to comment upon all those things, it becomes difficult, because when the police wants to lodge against the case, then they are called whom to lodge against the case. It's a case of road traffic accident. The poor guy has died due to road traffic accident. The case will be lodged against that person who has killed, who was on the motorbike or so. What about the parents who have been, you can say, they continuously abusing him? Even if you do that, the police, I try to advocate the police, try to counsel them, but what will you do? They will just fleece the money from the parents only, because they are not going to do anything with the parents. For them, the case pertains only as a road traffic accident, cause of death, that's all. So although I have written, but then there was no further proceeding on that line, whether the abuse, what they have perpetrated, so that at least the other children may not suffer, because they were having the other children. So how will you rule out that other children will not were not having or were not being abused in their homes? No remedy, no way we can do that, and how the court will view that. So it was a challenge. Another case.